Well, here we are. This is the first ever series of Together We Can Get Our Liberties Back. And the point of this series is to bring together all the influencers, advocates, organisations in Australia that are fighting for our rights so that you can see what everyone is up to, and also so that you can see that we're all working together, and hopefully this will make our fight a lot easier. Also, it's good for our enemies to know that we're working together as well, because together we can absolutely stop them. And that's the whole point of this. So as part of this campaign, we have on the Reignite Democracy Australia website, we have a page dedicated to all of the different organisations, influencers, groups, legal teams, independent medias and everything like that is all on the page under initiatives. You'll see that on the Reignite Democracy Australia website. And again, the point is so that you, as Australians who are in this fight with each other, you can go to that page and you can see who can help you and who you can help as well. So this campaign, Together We Can, is going to have a lot of different elements to it, flyers and things like that, and that will come out in due course. But this is our first episode, and next week we're going to have our first episode with several minor parties in Australia as well, so that you can, hear what they have to say and make your own decision on who you want to support. RDA is not here to tell you what to do. The government does enough of that. We just want to provide you with all the different information so that you can make up your own minds, because you're adults and you can do that. So anyway, without further ado, I'm just going to show you the little intro that we've made, and then I'm going to start off with our first speaker, which is none other than Morgan C. Jonas. So I'll see you in just a moment.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a big thank you to Monica from RDA for putting this on. Just a terrific initiative, bringing everybody together. Just absolutely brilliant stuff. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Morgan C. Jonas. I run an independent news show called MCJ Report that runs 4 nights a week, Monday to Thursday, exclusively on Rumble, because Rumble, unlike other platforms, doesn't cut us off at the knees and doesn't censor us. Now, I started MCJ Report primarily as a means of, I suppose, countering the mainstream media. I think many of us have been made well aware that very important and crucial information has been suppressed and withheld from the Australian public, especially since the inception of coronavirus and since the inception of these restrictions and so forth. So MCJ Report was really just a way of countering that suppression, and moving to Rumble was a way of course, avoiding the censorship that so many of us have been subjected to on social media. Now, the motto of MCJ Report is separating media and state, and that motto was inspired by a friend of mine, Harrison, who spoke that in a speech in a protest against the mainstream media. I think it was last year sometime. So what does this mean? Separating media and state? Well, it's my view, and probably a view shared by many people, that there seems to be not really a separation of media and state in this country. It seems that more often than not, the media and the government work hand in hand. We know that the mainstream media and government have a very close working relationship. And we know that certain topics that the government wishes not to be spoken about on the mainstream media will more likely than not be spoken about. So raise the question, how can we have a free marketplace of ideas if there's no separation of media and state? So that's the motivation behind MCJ Report. So we delve into all topics otherwise left untouched by the mainstream media. We talk about alternative remedies, early treatment. We have on guests who are otherwise censored from mainstream media, highly esteemed experts in their field who would otherwise be ignored by the likes of Channel 9, Channel 10, so forth. We ask the questions that the mainstream media won't ask through the context of corona and topics such as infection fatality rates and things like that that are otherwise left untouched. And of course, we call out the politicians for their lies. We tear apart the Therapeutic Goods Administration and their lack thereof of reporting in relation to corona, the injection, and so much more. MCJ Report has grown in leaps and bounds. We're up to now episode 136 or 137. And it seems that we're really becoming more of a mainstream brand now. And I think that's simply due to the fact that Australians realise that they're having the wool pulled over their eyes by the mainstream media. Australians realise that they're only receiving one side of the story from the mainstream media, and more often than not, a very skewed side of the story, and one that is most definitely riddled with confirmation bias and trickery and lots of lies. So I think MCJ Report has been a breath of fresh air to a lot of people who are sick of being so blatantly lied to by the mainstream media, and that's simply what we do. We're here to call out the media. We're here to expose the truth. Our show runs 4 nights a week, Monday to Thursday night, 8 p.m, exclusively on Rumble, on my Rumble account, Morgan C. Jonas. So I certainly encourage people to hop on. I believe that due to MCJ Report, many people have woken up, huge amounts of people, and that's simply due to pointing out the facts and pointing out the inconsistencies and the fraud and deception that we've been subjected to. So yeah, if you'd like to check out my show, you can find it on Rumble or subscribe to the newsletter at mcjreport.com/join. And together we'll keep exposing the mainstream media. We'll keep exposing their lies, the lies of the government. And we will, of course, continue our mission of waking up the masses, as demonstrated at the great protest yesterday all around Australia. But I was here in Melbourne, and we saw about 500,000 people on the streets. So I think we're off to a pretty good start, and the best is yet to come. So Monica, thank you very much. And for anybody that wants to check out my show, it's MCJ Report.
Yo, microphone check, make it a microphone check. Give it a microphone, I make it a microphone dead. Don't step to me, newbie, I could truly be moody. I could have played the fucking Grinch in the...
Oh no, I did not know that song played like that. Hang on one second. All right. Sorry guys, I downloaded a video and didn't listen to the whole video. I thought that would be a good one. I was wrong. Anyway, I won't be playing that again. Sorry. Okay, so thanks, Morgan. And look, after this weekend in the media, we've seen obviously a lot of lies about the numbers, and also just the slandering of the people at Parliament and things like that, calling them names that obviously they are not. So the more alternative media we can have out there, the better. And Fanos is going to speak later on, and he's also doing, similar things with his podcast. So look, without further ado, I'm going to go on to the next speaker, which is Graham Hood. We all know he famously quit as a pilot to join our fight for freedom, but he's doing a lot more now. So I'm going to bring him on to talk to you about what he's doing. Welcome, Graham, and thanks for coming on.
Yeah, g'day, Monica, and what a great initiative. Thanks for your insight and the effort that you're putting in to do this. Hi, everyone. I'm Graham Hood, ex-Qantas pilot, who resigned in protest at the mandates, and as a result, my whole life's changed, and I'm still trying to get my head around all that. I'm getting more and more involved in activism, which is something I never thought would happen to me, but it is happening. And I'm finding more and more that the leaning that I'm having in this whole debacle is more of welfare and more of looking after the people who have been destitute and made destitute by draconian governments. There are a lot of political issues that worry me. First and foremost, and I don't think you have to go down any rabbit holes to work this out, the fact that we are unable to see a fully functioning, viable copy of the vaccine rollout policy by the Australian federal government, because Pfizer is saying that there's specific arrangements that don't allow them to share that information with us, is absolutely deplorable. I firmly believe in my heart of hearts, as a rational thinking Australian citizen who's been around for nearly 70 years, that this cannot be tolerated. We cannot tolerate a government that signs multi-billion-dollar deals with big corporations and cannot disclose the arrangements around those deals with the people who they have been elected to serve. And I think we are exposed as a nation as a result of these deals, and we need to know the answers. Now, that's just mainstream stuff. To me, it makes sense. And to me, I want to know where my taxpayer dollars are being spent. I want to know who's behind it and why it's being done this way. I don't think anything of this nature where people are being coerced and bullied into a procedure that nobody can tell them anything about with any confidence. That the trust has been destroyed by the bureaucracy, by the governments and by big corporations and by mainstream media. I mean, the reporting over the weekend of the rallies was absolutely deplorable. 10,000 people in Sydney is what Channel 7 reported. What was that, on one street corner maybe? I mean, for goodness sake, you can't keep hiding this. So I'm all about providing hope and a future for the people involved in this battle. A lot of you guys that I'm sharing the panel with tonight are doing great activism work. You're putting your hearts and souls into really turning this inside out and getting the truth out there. I'm with you in a lot of areas in that regard. But as I said, it's all about, for me, organising welfare for people. I believe we're going to come out of this at the other end, and we're going to have a lot of rebuilding to do. I also believe, having attended a local rally today, this afternoon, that the opportunities we have to build a better society out of this mess are going to be huge, and we need to grab them. People are talking about going back to normal. I don't want to go back to that normal. That normal stunk, to be honest with you, and I don't think any of us want to go back to that normal. So I'm all about looking at the future and helping the people in the here and now who are sleeping in their cars, who are coming home to find loved ones dead from suicide, who are dealing with the fact that they've lost their lifelong careers, their homes, their families they're cutting them off. There are people who aren't allowed to go to family Christmas gatherings because of absolute inaccurate reporting and illogical logic, no logic at all in some of the decisions being made within families. That's my big push. Now, as an old bloke, firstly, before I go into that, I want to say that I have this week taken on an arrangement with an amazing organisation to be their ambassador for the foreseeable future. And it's a wonderful group of very innovative businessmen who put a lot of money behind a group called Parents with Questions. Now, the people that we're concerned about, the people that we're rallying against, are coming for our kids. And for goodness sake, when we've got so much doubt about the procedures that we adults are going through, why on earth would we even consider? Why would we consider exposing our children to this when we're still not sure of the details of what's in this thing, and we're still not seeing accurate reporting on side effects? Many of us in this alternate form of media are seeing thousands of reports of people having extreme adverse side effects, and we know they're not being reported. And we're going to expose this to our kids. We're going to allow our kids to be an experiment. You've got to be kidding. So I'm fully on board with an organisation called Parents with Questions. They're not anti-vax. They're all about getting the information and protecting children, and they want their questions answered. They're well-resourced. They're well focused on the ways that they're going to do this. And their website will launch later in the week, and it will be www.parentswithquestions.com.au. And I can tell you, they really mean business. I'm also on board with another group that's going to launch in the next few days, which comprises some 200 to 300 celebrities in sporting and theatrical endeavours, people that Australians know, people that Australians look up to, who are going to be speaking out for choice. They're going to be launching a massive campaign by a website and also by multimedia presentations of their testimonies, and I think this is going to rock the boat. I believe that we are on the cusp of kicking some serious butt in this debate. I believe we as a nation are on the very edge of turning this into something amazing for our future and bringing back the spirit of the Anzacs. But as an old guy who's been around a while, I went through the dismissal of the Whitlam government. I saw Sir John Kerr sack Gough Whitlam. I've seen various political machinations in this country, and what I'm seeing now with some of the senators saying that unless the mandates are dropped, they're going to withdraw any vote for any legislation that's coming up in the future. We have an amazing opportunity here to put this government under pressure, federal and states. And I really believe in my heart of hearts, and you guys who organise rallies can take this where you will, but listen to a 70-year-old bloke. Now is the time to focus our attention on the governor's mansions in the states and the Governor-General's mansion. I know there are people who stand in quiet vigil outside these mansions at Yarralumla and other places who are standing firm for the fact that this government and these governments are selling their people down the tube. And I really believe that if we put pressure on the constitutional monarchy and those who are responsible for maintaining that constitution by standing in quiet vigil out the front of these governors' mansions, we can do an amazing job in actually getting something to happen. And it will put the fear of you-know-what into the politicians who are already starting to crumble. Morrison is starting to back down and try and open a back door. And even some mainstream media are starting to open a back door, so they've got a way to back out. Now's the time to put the pressure where it really matters. The Constitution must be restored. Hoodie's Helpers is a wonderful organisation that has started as a result of the pain of the people who've approached me. And it's a great organisation. There are tens of thousands of Hoodies Helpers all over the country and in New Zealand. And they're doing a great job uniting people. They're organising Santa photography sessions for kids who aren't allowed into shopping centres. They're organising Christmas hampers for people who'll be alone over Christmas. They're offering all kinds of welfare. There are jobs available. People are getting work. Businesses are advertising that they're not going to shut the door on anybody and they're not going to play policeman for the government. So this organisation is really kicking some butt. We're creating a brand new tribe in this country, a tribe that will see us well into the future and restore the spirit of our Anzacs. And we've got to remember that they fought and died so we wouldn't have conversations like this. So I urge you all to think about the things I've said. Let's not let our egos get in the way of this in this battle. We're kicking some serious butt. We need to stay united. Monica, your efforts to do that through this group is amazing, and it will do a lot to further that. And I support that as long as we can fight this fight together, put our egos out the back door, and let's get this done and dusted for the people of Australia. Thanks for letting me share, Monica, and God bless everybody.
Wow, I actually forgot that I was hosting this show and I was just listening to you because I didn't know about those two things coming up. And for anyone watching, just so you know, you can, I'm going to send an email after this I'm going to make a post on the Reignite Democracy Australia website with all the links to everything that all the speakers speak about. So that new website, Parents Asking Questions or whatever it was, I'm going to put all of that in the post. And if you are subscribed to Reignite Democracy Australia, you'll get that in the email tomorrow as well. So that is really exciting. The popular sports stars coming out, that is absolutely needed. I'm so excited about that. And I love that Graham is so inspirational and it's not all doom and gloom. He tells you the doom and gloom, but then he tells you about how we're getting out of it. And I think he's right. We're at a really great time in history to actually make a huge difference. So keep up the pressure. Okay, so next we have none other than Fanos, the voice. Fanos, it's your time. Go for it. We can't hear you, Fanos. You got to unmute yourself.
How are we going, guys? Thank you so much for Monica, thank you so much for organising this and along with RDA there. So I've been made aware that basically this is about explaining initiatives and exactly what you're involved in. So if I was going to sum up what I've been involved in over the last 16 months, it's been one thing and one thing only, and that's to be able to get some type of recognisable life back to pre-2019 when all of this started. And these initiatives are only successful when people stand up and when people make the conversation known that there is something to be concerned about. And it's no good everyone thinking it, but no one's saying anything. So I've been involved. I've been actively involved in getting the word out there, getting the truth out there, being on the streets, being at these protests, speaking at many, many protests. You could say even being a leader of some sort in terms of leading the people with positive, affirmative, non-violent action. Recently, just very recently, in the last, I believe, 6 months, I've created a podcast called Fanos the Voice Podcast. Now, the reason I created the Fanos the Voice Podcast was once my bail conditions were put on me, which Monica knows very well, I sort of had the wind taken out of my sails as to what type of service I can provide the community moving forward that still gets the truth out there, and it still creates some type of impact out in the world. And something deep within me, my intuition, you could call it, exactly like my intuition that's been guiding me from day one, said create a podcast. So the Fanos the Voice podcast is not only entertainment, it's also informative. I have all different guests on. I've had doctors on. And ultimately what the Fanos the Voice podcast was meant to be, it was meant to be a vehicle. So if someone who was either prominent or an individual who needed to get their message out there, there was a platform now for that individual to be able to do that. And that's what the Fanos the Voice podcast provides. You know, I've been able to have a vaccine victim on. I was lucky enough to have Dr. Peter on, who was a physician who had come on, who had been reprimanded by APRA, and he decided to, you know, hang up the boots and stop, working within his profession as a doctor. And the Fanos the Voice podcast actually gave Dr. Peter Johnston the ability to be on a platform to explain his side of the story and to actually explain to people, as a physician, as someone who lives in Melbourne, Victoria, or, you know, regional Melbourne, Victoria, someone who was able to finally be able to tell the people of Australia just what's going on in the medical community. Now, he's been lucky enough to have spoken to Gareth Icke all the way in the UK, and that's what the Fanos the Voice podcast actually has been able to provide. It's been able to provide a platform now for these people who are prominent or people who are important that their message be spread to the world. They have the ability to do that. I'm also involved in other initiatives as well. I've put together a community page called the People's Classifieds, which primarily was designed more for trading and bartering more than anything, where you can get on there. It's free to use, doesn't cost you anything, and you can basically go in there and you can put your items that you'd like to trade for, and you can say, I'd like to trade a camera for a desktop screen, or I'd like to trade 13 bags of wheat for whatever, right? It was created so we've got that trade system back. Look, I honestly believe that moving forward, as we move forward into the future, no, it's not all doom and gloom. There is hope, and there is a way forward. But there's also being prepared for the worst and having all of these infrastructure in place just in case these guys really get us to that level within our community that we are suppressed so much and oppressed so much that we aren't able to have access to normal, like your normal shopping or going and buying clothing or needing electronics at home. It's good that we start preparing and have an additional system in place in order to have these measures that we're basically sorted, right? The other thing I wanted to speak about was that I think that the really important thing moving forward right now is that everyone needs to be focused on the mission. We can't be complacent anymore. We know by now that no matter how positive we'd like ourselves to be in terms of just who we're dealing with, we know deep down inside that these guys have an agenda and that they are really coming after our families and our livelihoods. And that's clear as day now, more than ever. So it's really important that, we do get people over to the Fanos the Voice podcast, because you might have one individual that you've been trying to shift their mindset for, 7, 8 months, 12 months now. And all it takes is one word from the most unexpected source. And that individual that expressed those words was the tipping point for that individual. And everyone has a different stronghold. Everyone has a different place where their tipping point is. Not every communicator is going to get through to people in exactly the right way that needs to get through to them. But that tipping point could come from the most unexpected individual in the most unexpected moment in time from a certain individual. So it's important that we do get people, when we do get guests on the Fanos of Voice podcast, whether it's a conversation, whether it's a doctor, whatever it may be, that we do get these people on. We do share these links to all of these posts that we do. We do share links to these podcasts or these initiatives that we're putting on, because that's what the people have the power to do. The main people in the game, in terms of those who have the following, they are nothing without the conduit of information spreading out to the masses through their followers and through the people that watch their content. So it's very, very important that you maintain your part in this process, which is to help this information be shared. I think I'm going to basically end with just telling people where they can find me. You can find me on fanosthevoice.com. If you'd like to buy a t-shirt or a hat or anything like that, which is basically just merchandise, all proceeds are not for profit. What this does is it allows me to continue my mission, which is community-focused initiatives, right? Where it's got to do with alternative media such as fanosthevoice.com. It's got to do with creating community projects such as the peoplesclassifieds.org, right? All of these things, they all take manpower, they all take time. And, you know, anything else that I'm basically putting forward to help with, that really helps with all that type of stuff. I think I'm pretty much done, guys. I don't really have much more to say. I've had a massive weekend. Energetically wise, I'm spent. So that's all I got to say, guys.
Cool. No, you did great. And also your speech was fantastic. So I can imagine why you're a bit worn out. So go relax. Thanks for talking to us, and we'll see you another time. So you heard him there. You saw the websites there as well, and of course I'll publish that as well. But his classified website sounds really cool, so I'll definitely publish that so that everyone can see it. And he's got some great things going and some great interviews on his podcast show on Rumble. And I think he's right. You just never know what someone's tipping point is. So I think the more different voices that you can show people, the better. And, you know, there's so much space in this world of trying to, you know, influence people, that it's really important that there are so many people in the ring doing it. So thanks, Fanos, for coming on. Next up, we have Narelle, who is running humanrightsadvocates.com.au. Some of you may have seen the templates. They have templates for all ranges of things, masks through to vaccines, etc. So I'm going to bring Narelle on to talk about what she's doing. That's not Narelle. That's Narelle. All right. All right, Narelle.
Hi, everyone. So as Monica said, I'm Narelle from Human Rights Advocates Australia. Wanted to say thank you very much to RDA. Monica, thanks so much for the invitation. It's amazing to be here, and we're really grateful that you invited us. So HRA was born from a desire to help vulnerable members of the community, to help them with discrimination regarding masks. And basically that's where we started. And what we wanted to do was actually bring to the attention of business owners that what they were doing by discriminating against people who couldn't wear a mask was wrong, because they may as well had a sign out the front saying, don't come in if you're deaf. So we went to work, and we kind of just started as this kind of haphazard, throw together thing. And anyway, it's gone on, it's evolved. We've had a massive evolution, like a journey since November last year, I think we started. And yeah, we've now evolved to dealing with vaccine mandates, still dealing with mask issues as well, but we are still advocating on behalf of vulnerable members of the community. So we love what we do. We're a group of passionate, fierce people who really want to fight for those who perhaps can't do it for themselves. And we do this through a number of ways. We advocate, we've got legal minds, we've got we started with 2, and now we've got like over 12, and then an admin person, and it's been an explosion of growth. And one of the best things that we did was actually partner with Serene Tafaha from Advocate Me. And Serene reached out to us and wanted to get together and provide a better service for people who were really in need and feeling out of control in their lives, and having a way to fight back. So that's what we started to work with Advocate Me. We got a whole heap of template letters put on our website, like Monica just said. And we are really the boots. So what Human Rights Advocate does are the boots on the ground for people who are in urgent need. So we work also with people for safe vaccines, and Australia says no. So you can check those websites out as well. And of course, like I said, Advocate Me. So what the partnership with Advocate Me did was free up Serene for the class action that she's running, and also to do Fair Work complaints, commission complaints for people who have been impacted by vaccine mandates at their employment and lost their jobs, etc. So it's been an amazing growth period, and we feel like we've provided just something and a service that has been so needed by so many, and we've felt really supported by people along the way who've helped us and made suggestions and all that sort of stuff. So that's been fantastic. I'm just turning the page here because I had so many notes. I was so excited. So the other thing that we do is we have a service for anyone who's got a COVID breach, got an infringement for that or a fine. We help with that. And if it needs to, if we can't resolve it, then we refer to a criminal lawyer. So that's something that's been really successful. And we love working with, the different aspects that we cover with Human Rights Advocates Australia. So we've put loads of work into our website. We put so many resources on there that are free for people to access. We've got an option for paid letters, which are also something that we do, which are on letterhead and then with a person's name, and they're from us personally, from Human Rights Advocates. So yes, we really have had a massive demand for our services, and we just love doing it. So we really focus on providing a valued personal service for all of our clients, and helping them is something that we just feel that we are called to do. We're compelled to do. We feel like it's the least we can do in these times. So yeah, so that's basically what we do. Really want to just, if you are feeling out of control, feeling like you want to empower yourself with different resources, etc., go to our website, have a look at the supporting info section, have a look at that. We've got a consultation service now. We were just inundated by requests for help, information. People might not want to lodge a formal complaint straight away and just want some guidance and a legal opinion, and we can give that. So that's been something that's just exploded as well. It's just been amazing. So yeah, that's really it for me. We just love what we do, fierce, want to protect those and help those in need.
That is great. Thank you so much, Narelle. And just before you go, I'll let the audience know that I've been in touch with Human Rights Advocates, I think, from the very beginning. So I've seen them grow, and I've seen them evolve into what they are now. They have a lot of partnerships now, which obviously makes them stronger. And I'm just really excited. I remember my first conversation with Sonia, and now to see how many people you've helped is really, really great. And I know that the heart I know Sonia well. She's got a great heart, and I can see that you do too. So thanks so much for your work, and we'll see you another time.
No, thanks.
All right, there you go. So you guys have probably heard of Human Rights Advocates many times. Now you get to meet someone behind it, which is great. So check out their website and see if there's something that can help you. I'm sure there is. Everyone's got some problems going on at the moment, so we need all the resources we can get. So next up, we have Christian Mack, who probably has a sore voice just like Fanos, because I saw him yelling out on the, when I say yelling out, I mean, doing a great speech in Sydney the other day. So I can't wait to talk to Christian. I'm going to bring him on right now. You got the floor, mate.
Mute. All right. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no.
Thanks, Monica. Look, yeah, my voice is a little bit croaky, but that's okay. It's what we do. Now, look, I just want to start off by saying what we're seeing here in Australia is probably not but one of the most shameful periods in our short history. And we've had a lot of shameful periods in our short history, going back to, the atrocities of our First Nations people, and, which one for for decades and decades, and to some extent still going on. We've looked at shameful periods such as, throughout the 80s with the AIDS epidemic, the discrimination that went around that. We also looked at, we had periods of, during the Vietnam War and conscription, and we've always had these periods, and I believe that this is one such period where, in years to come, we hope that in the history lessons, we will look back on this period and think, what the hell were they thinking? And I believe this is one of the most shameful periods because of the discrimination, the medical apartheid, but also the draconian measures that our governments took, our politicians took on the Australian people, and what they took from them without themselves not giving up anything. You think about how many people have lost their jobs, how many people have lost their homes, how many people have had to close their businesses during lockdowns, never to reopen. People that took their lives, people that were unable to see their loved ones during important occasions or solemn occasions. We look back on this period and think, why did we let this happen? How did we let this happen on our watch? But we'll also look back on this period where we saw an uprising of sorts. We saw an awakening, and we're seeing a transformation. Now, what we saw on the weekend across the whole country was something that I've never seen before in my life. Granted, I'm only 43 years of age, but I've been watching TV since before I was a teenager. So, I can remember watching the news, and I can never, ever recall a time when the people of Australia on one day just rose. They came out and they said, enough is enough. This would not have happened a year ago. Why wouldn't it have happened a year ago? Well, because I guess at the start of this, we kind of gave them the benefit of the doubt. We thought, oh, geez, maybe there is a deadly virus lurking out there that's made its way from Wuhan. But very quickly we saw something that doesn't add up. The numbers didn't add up. The narrative didn't add up. And what was concerning is that every single politician in the world and every single opposition leader in the world, every political party was reading out of the same book. You tell me a time in history when that was the case, when every country in the world, every leader and every opposition leader agreed on the same thing and read out of the same playbook. And that in itself should have rung alarm bells for a lot of people. So we were told 14 days to flatten the curve, wash your hands, keep distance. We need to close for a few weeks, stop the spread. We don't want to overwhelm the public health system. Look, we're working on a vaccine, and when it does come out, it's completely voluntary. But boy, oh boy, look how fast that all changed in 18 months. And look how quickly they imposed their mandates, their passports, their lockdowns, their fines, fining people thousands of dollars for sitting on a park bench for eating a kebab. Like, this was in the early days. We quickly realised that this isn't about a virus, because when they started spitting out, we're all in this together. No, we're not. We're not in this together, because more people are suffering than others. And if we were all in this together and everyone was losing their jobs and everyone had to close their businesses, why the hell were you out there fining people thousands of dollars for walking in a park? It just didn't make sense. And there were so many things that the government could have done to ease the burden on people's lives. Maybe not pay tolls, no parking fines, just little things like that, help people with their utility bills. But it didn't happen. So when they said we're all in this together, that was rubbish. And when these sanctimonious celebrities and athletes all came out on TV, stay home to stay safe, we're all in this together, it was okay for them, sitting in their mansions. They've got pool and spa and gyms. Look, and I've got nothing against anyone that has worked for that and worked hard for that, and rightly so, they deserve it. Believe me, I'm not preaching socialism here, but you know, you're saying that, you have the nerve to say it to someone. Let's take, for example, those people in Melbourne, in those towers, in those housing commission, those towers, that for 2 weeks they didn't even have a balcony, were locked up in their homes because of fear of a spread. It just, you can't tell me that this was all fair and equitable. It wasn't. And when, you know, we've got to the stage now where we're preaching about a vaccine and how everyone must be vaccinated. What happened to the last 10 years, this movement of tolerance and inclusiveness and equality and non-discrimination? What happened to all of that? It doesn't seem to exist. And why are we only talking about now the vaccine and the future strains? Why aren't we talking about the past? Where did this thing actually come from? How did it come about? Who is responsible? Now, some people that don't even believe such virus exists, okay, which is fine. They're entitled to their opinion. Some people think, oh, yeah, it's just the flu rebranded, or it's just a mild cold or whatever. Okay, but at the start of all this, all eyes were on China. We were made to believe that China was responsible for this. So why aren't we talking about that anymore? Why is it now that they were once the criminals for sending this out to the whole world, but now we're the criminals because we want to breathe freely without a mask? We want to go further than 5 kilometres. We want to visit loved ones after 9 o'clock at night, or we don't want to get vaccinated. Now we're the criminals. Who's holding China to account for what they started? Or the labs that were responsible? So I'm sorry, when I get these politicians coming out saying, look, we've got your best interests at heart, we care for you, we're all in this together, they're lying. And I know they're lying because their lips are moving. And that's usually how you know when a politician is lying. They don't have any backbone. They're spineless. They're cowards. They don't care about us. But what we're seeing here and what the weekend showed us was a revolution, which you're not going to hear about on the radio or on the TV, in the news, or read in the papers. Today's front page. Now, I only saw the front page of a Victorian paper and a New South Wales paper, a Sunday paper. The front page was all about some cricketers' sex scandal. That was the biggest news story over the weekend. Can you believe it? The garbage that they are putting out there. So you're not going to hear about the revolution in the mainstream media. But where you're going to see it, you're going to see it through independent media. You're going to see it on social media. You're going to see it just through talking with people. You're going to see new communities that are starting to rise. Now, I'll tell you, I spoke at Sydney yesterday. I marched. I was at the front and I spoke. And I'll tell you now, there was 100,000 people there. We couldn't fit them in. We could not fit them in as far as the eye could see. As you can hear, my voice is almost gone. But I don't care. I'll still speak until I can't speak anymore, because this is what we need. We need people to speak up. And there were so many people there yesterday that would never have turned up to a rally ever in their life. But they found their courage. They found their voice. They've realised that no one is going to come and save me. I've got to show up. I've got to stand up. I've got to speak up. And when you feel like you're the only one, or you feel that you're isolated, just have a look at what happened on the weekend. That is not a coincidence. Okay? That's not just a one-off. That's not a bunch of anti-vax conspiracy theorists, COVID deniers, minority, or far-right extremists. And that's what you're going to be called. Since this whole thing started, for me, when I really started speaking up about it 3 months ago, I've been called everything. I'm a fake teacher. I'm a wannabe reality TV star. I'm part of controlled opposition. I work for ASIO. I'm a Freemason. I'm part of the Illuminati, part of the cabal. All of this nonsense. And this is what they'll try and do. They'll try and discredit you. And they won't just do it to me. As soon as you start speaking up, be it on social media or out in the community, people are going to think, oh, yeah, this guy's a nut job. But
You're not in the minority, believe you me. The minority is that the people that think like us are not speaking up. Okay, the minority is the group of people that are trying to fight for your freedoms. But if the majority, the silent majority spoke up, we would no longer be, okay, that minority that they say we are. You know, and the far right extremist tag, which we're all being called now, that is the biggest load of nonsense. But that's what they do. They need to brand you. They need to assassinate your character. Now, I stood there yesterday. I kid you not. I had a photo. Now, my name is Christian, and I'm a Christian. Okay, and everyone knows I have God in my heart, Jesus in my heart. But I stood there. I took a photo. I was besides a lovely woman of the Islamic faith. There was someone next to me of the Orthodox faith. There were people there that said to me, Mack, we're atheists, but we're on your side. Great. I gave them a hug. I didn't care. I had First Nations people, Indigenous people, there were Pacific Islanders. We were all there together. And they call us extremists, but I don't care. I don't care. And that's why they fear us, because they don't know what we're going to do next. Now, why do they fight so hard to silence us? Because they know that we are the ones that can change history. We are the ones that can force this revolution, this peaceful revolution. But they want us out of the way. They don't want me and you in front of the kids, because they want to get to the kids. We're just in their way, which is why we must stand, because no one can stand for them but us. We have to protect them. And ultimately, that's who they're coming for. They're coming for the children. But we won't let it happen. So I guess, what my journey in this whole thing, I never thought I was a teacher. I became a teacher after a successful 20 years of being a strength and conditioning coach, a boxing coach. I've been a teacher for the last 5 years, and I thought I'd retire in the sunset being a teacher. I never thought I'd be in front of 100,000 people speaking and getting them motivated and empowered to fight against this tyranny. But I was born for this time. I truly believe I was born for this time. And 3 months ago, I started at the bottom of the hill, and man, that hill looked steep. But we clawed our way up, and we're halfway up that hill. And that's why I give the halftime speeches. I'm not ready for a full-time speech. We're halfway up that hill. The cracks are starting to appear. They really are. And we've got to keep the pressure up in any possible way. And just before I got on this broadcast, I rang up, Hoodie. I said, Hoodie, mate, I said, I hope you're ready for this weekend in Sydney. There's 100,000 people more expecting you to be there, because John Larder called you out yesterday. He said you were going to be there. And he said to me, he goes, Mack, the cracks are appearing. The tide is turning. The thunder is coming. We can see the lightning. So we have to keep it up. So I ask everyone that is listening to this, I know you're tired. The fight is tiring. I'm tired. My voice is tired. You can see my eyes are tired. I've got a few more grey hairs in 3 months than, I guess I would have had. But it doesn't matter. Every morning, get up, and I've just got to keep showing up. People say, Mack, where do you get your energy from? Where do you get your stamina or your mental resilience from? And people expect an answer like, I read motivational books, or I drink this energy drink, or it's none of that. It's none of that. And a lot of people don't want to hear this, but I truly believe I'm doing God's work. That's it. I went to bed one night over 3 months ago, disheartened with the world, didn't know what to do, didn't know what my purpose was. I went to sleep. I said, God, what do you want me to do? I prayed to St. Michael. Got up the next day, I kid you not, I felt like I had a shield and a sword with me, the shield and sword of St. Michael. And I just felt the Holy Spirit in me, and I've been going ever since. So please, whatever your faith is, whatever you believe in, if it's the universe, if it's goodness, if it's light, if it's nature, whatever it is, it's okay. Just know that there is goodness out there. There is a higher power out there. There is something within you that is calling you to do this work, which will echo for future generations to come. And we must not stop now. So please, as I always end my halftime speeches, I tell everyone, I don't call anyone followers because I'm not a leader. Believe me, I'm not a leader. I'm on the front line with everyone. Okay, I need everyone to step up and stand by my side. So I'm not a leader, but I ask everyone, you got to pick up your shields, you got to pick up your swords, and you can't give them another inch. That's it from me, Monica. Thank you very much.
Oh, thanks. I feel like clapping for you, but and just so everyone knows, thanks so much for coming on, Christian. I really, really appreciate it. Very inspiring. And also, as you can see on the bottom of the screen, I was promoting the groups that he has. So he didn't talk about that at all, which is fine. But National Education United on Telegram, it's a really big Telegram group. And if you like hearing Christian speak, well, you want to go onto that Telegram group because he does a lot of speaking on there. And you can see why he was a coach, right? Because if he was telling me what to do, I'd probably want to do it. So anyway, you should definitely go check out his Telegram page. So thanks so much, Christian. And next we have Ursula, who is from Unite Now Australia, also a Telegram page that has gone quite bonkers in the last month or so. From what I understand, they have, you know what, I'm not going to explain it. I'm going to let her explain it. That's why she's here. So I'm going to bring on Ursula right now. Welcome, Ursula. You have the floor.
Thank you so much, Monica. So I will give you a bit of a brief rundown how Unite Now actually got created. So actually it started with Mack. So we did a bit of a brainstorm and found out that a lot of people actually were not knowing where to go, where to get support. So we created an initial directory for a lot of Mack's groups, you know, the teachers, the firefighters, everything like that. And then as people started sharing it, we found out that, you know, there were more industries that wanted support. So we created probably now approximately 60 Unite Now groups that we have for a lot of people to get support. And a lot of the reasoning behind it is, you know, people are folding because they feel isolated and alone. They feel backed into a corner. So this really allows people to, you know, have support, you know, direction, you know, not knowing what to do. They can connect with other people who have worked it out within their industry. So there are a few companies that we kind of not necessarily work with, but you know, within the groups, people are working within these companies. So you can find out, you know, the actions that are happening and the alignments that are sort of happening with companies that we heard today. So you've got human rights advocates, you've got Australians Say No, Advocate Me, AFL Solicitors, Red Union. So a lot of our groups are working with these organisations. And you can find out if you go to Unite Now and join the industry groups, you can find out what is happening within your industry, you know, connecting with those organizations that can give you some help. And if you go to the Unite Now directory on Telegram, so it's t.me/Unite Now Australia. At the very bottom of that page, you'll see what will be like an action of the day or action of the week. And then above that, if you scroll up a little bit higher, you'll see that we have some legal resources and more resources as well that you can connect with, and it goes into those companies in a little bit more detail as well, or those organizations. And then if you scroll up again, then you start going into the industry groups, and that's where you find them. The easiest thing to do as well is to use the search key in the top right-hand corner on either desktop or on mobile, and just type in the industry that you're trying to find. And then that'll connect you into the little like tiles that you can see where your industry group is. You click on the little link and it'll take you to your industry group. And you can get connected that way as well. There is also a group kind of like list view on Australians Say No, if you want something in a slightly different format to help you find your group a little bit easier. And also we try to keep our groups, you know, a little bit, I don't know if, oh, here we go. Nice one. Yeah, very nice. So we try to keep our groups a little bit broader. If you can't find your group as well, we do also have Unite Now Connect. So in one of those little like tabs that Monica will probably go through as she's kind of like scrolling up, you'll see there'll be like a little tab or little like link that goes to Unite Now Connect, and we can help you find your group if you can't find it in there, or if you need an industry group made up for you, we can do that as well. But we do try to keep the groups broader so that with pushback actions, you really want numbers at the end of the day. So the bigger the numbers, the bigger that we can and broader we can make these groups. the more numbers you have, the more weight you'll have in your industry to push back. So something that is happening out of Unite now that's been quite interesting is a lot of really cool initiatives. So you've got your pushback within the mandates, pushing back against those, but you've also got pushing back, just to protect our rights. So there are things like Community Services Speaks Out. That's an initiative that has come out of one of the Unite Now groups. So that's where the welfare and disability workers are sort of like doing whistleblowing complaints, or doing a bit of whistleblowing. We also have a new little page set up for pro-choice renting, because that's a bit of discrimination going on through there. And then we've got a campaign coming up as well, which should be released this week, which is going to be around how coercion is not consent. So that's going to be a really exciting one. And then the next phase for us is a leadership group, which we've just started. Again, I would release it on the main page, hopefully sometime this week. We want to kind of like do a call out to everyone within Unite Now and everyone obviously outside of it as well. If you've got initiatives similar to some of the ideas that have come out today, which have been amazing, we really kind of want to know about them. Be part of our leadership group, so we can figure out ways to promote it, be part of it. These pushback actions are, if I just look at an example I've been thinking today, like when you want to push something over, the more people you have pushing it, the more likely we're going to push it over. So those initiatives are super important, and the more initiatives we have throughout the whole community, the more likely we can take this down. And then also we want to do some brainstorming inside of that leadership group as well. We want to think more about more initiatives that we can start getting on their way. And also a lot of people have pointed this out as well today, really starting to think about, creating new systems. If we're being pushed out of our current system, how do we make the old system obsolete? So we also need to juggle that sort of side of things as well. And then the last thing that I sort of wanted to point out as well is how important it is to find a community group, whether that's with the Unite Now, or whether that's any of the other groups that are, Reclaim the Land, which is something that Mack runs. And you've got your the Australia Project groups, you've got RDA community groups. Really get involved, because the next stage really is us coming together and saying no. We are upholding everything that's going on. So if we can get together and decide what we want to say no to together, that is going to be key moving forwards. So yeah, thanks, Monica.
No worries. Thanks. Yeah. And thanks so much, Ursula. And yeah, everyone go check out the Telegram page, have a look through it, see what resonates with you, see how you can help. And if you want to be a leader, then you can reach out to them as well. Thank you so much. That's really cool. There's a lot of different organizations or groups having community groups, and RDA is we have community groups all around the country, over 100, but it really doesn't matter what it's called. It doesn't matter who's running it. Doesn't matter who's giving the ideas. Even if you just create your own group with 5 people in the neighborhood, it just doesn't matter. Just meet people, because otherwise you could feel really alone, unless you're lucky enough to have family and friends already that support you. But if you don't, please, I really urge you, like Ursula said, to reach out and find a community, because scientifically, you don't have to be a psychologist to realize that having human connection makes you a stronger, happier, and better person, and healthier even as well. Lockdowns, everything to do with lockdowns have been actually pulling people away from each other, dividing us, etc. So I really think one way to combat the enemy, so to speak, is to actually stay close together. And you just never know the power, the influence, and the invaluable, relationships that can be created. So I agree with Ursula, and I just wanted to expand on that. So now our last speaker is Pierce, who's running a website called skipaustralia.org. I'm not sure how much publicity this has had recently, but it's doing some really amazing things. So I'm really excited to share it with you, except his camera does seem to be blacked out. So I'm not sure if he's actually there. Pierce, are you there? I'm a little bit concerned that he's not. And if he's not, then I will just go through his website. So let me just, I'll remove him for now, and I'll just get up the website, guys, because then at least I can still talk about it. So hang on one second. There's always something unexpected, isn't there, guys? Hang on one second. Let me get this up. All right. I'll just go back here, make sure it's there. Got to get rid of that banner. Pierce is not there. He's just not there. Just making sure. Sorry, Pierce, you've missed your slot. We'll have to try another time. So we'll just go through this website together a little bit. Read and share. Are local councils normalising discrimination? Have local councils considered the damaging effects and legality of implementing Chief Health Officer directions? Send to your local MPs, ministers and health authorities. Send to your friends and family. All right, this is great. Let's have a look. Oh, wait, I'm reading the wrong page for you guys. I'm so sorry. Here we go. So this is the website here, but the current promotion is, I'm just going to change the screen for a second. Oh, Pierce is back. Are you there, Pierce? Get ready. He's here, guys. Hang on one second. Pierce, are you there?
Hello, yes, I am here.
Okay, it's really
Picture's
black.
really
We can't
bad.
see you.
I'm in my car. I had to go somewhere for a better signal.
Oh, that's okay. All right. Well, I'm just going to get the website up for you, the one that you sent me the later one. So I'm just going to get that up for you, the one about the councils, and then you can just talk about it, okay? So hang on one second. I'll get it up, and then you can talk about.
Lovely.
And I'll just take that over the screen basically, because there's not much point in having your dark screen there. So you just go and talk about it now. It's on the screen.
Okay, I agree. There's no point in showing my ugly mug, so I'm fine with that. Thanks, Monica, for arranging this and getting everybody together. And it's great to hear from all the other voices and all the other work around the country. There's a very important thing about having a meeting like this and bringing our group together, and that's to show the government, wherever they are, state governments, federal government, that they've created something that they're not going to be able to tame. We're allowed to have concerns. We're allowed to voice our concerns. And if nobody's going to represent us, then we're going to sort it out ourselves. So with that, I'll just talk about our group. We started in Castlemaine. Some concerned parents and grandparents, and really it comes down to the fact that we require a level of understanding and I guess information validation that hasn't been provided over the past 2 years, and statements like this is the latest science without showing anything to back it up, that just doesn't cut it for us. So we got together to essentially combine all of these news reports that we were reading and all of these concerns that we had, and we wanted to put it in a structure that allowed people to, at the click of a button, to send it to their elected representatives. So with that, I'll just introduce what Monica is showing now at the minute is our latest bulletin, and it's about community discrimination, or what we see as community discrimination. So we'd like for everybody to visit the site and follow the steps to send it to your local MP. But with this bulletin, we're actually asking for a little bit more. In Castlemaine, I'm the president of a local community club, and with the current community regulations from the Chief Health Officer, I can open the club to the community. I can run community events. I can referee games. I can participate in games. I can watch games. I can umpire games. But I can't go on my own to the club and train. Now, that to me and to everybody else, that there can't be any scientific evidence behind that. So what we've done is we've looked into it a little bit more, and ultimately we believe that the council is violating their requirements to represent all members of the community without discrimination. As well as that, and this is unique to Victoria. Within Victoria, under the Discrimination Act, there's actually an attribute that is only in this jurisdiction, which relates to physical features, and that's broken down further into bodily characteristics. And we argue the point that what they're asking for with vaccine passports is a confirmation or not of a bodily characteristic, which is, do you have antibodies that have been generated or induced by the COVID-19 vaccines? And they're discriminating on the basis of that, because if you don't have them, they don't let you in. And again, they'll argue that they're allowed to do that for health and safety measures under the the Chief Health Officer's directions. But if they're allowing community sport to participate as they are, then there can't be a health and safety measure that allows such discrimination. So we think this needs to be legally challenged. But before that, what we're asking people to do is follow or basically use the opportunity that has been presented to every single member of this audience, every single member of the community across the country. And that is, you can follow your legitimate council channels for complaint. So you can go into a council office, you can submit a formal complaint, you can submit a freedom of information request. You are allowed to attend monthly council meetings. You can send emails to your local representatives, and you can call them. And we are asking everybody in this audience, everybody, all the members of the groups here, to, during the week, you might be doing nothing else, getting ready for the protests next weekend. We'd like you to do something. We want you to go to your council office starting tomorrow morning. We want you to email them. We want you to essentially demand that they justify their discrimination. Because up until now, we haven't been presented this kind of an opportunity, and we want to take full advantage of that. So please visit the website, skipaustralia.org. We're also on Facebook, and we've got skip_Australia on Instagram. So one of the other initiatives that we're running at the minute is our Schools on Notice initiative. And with that, we're putting together what we're calling school packages, which is some legal letters, legal documentation, and a booklet that outlines all the responsibilities that schools have in terms of ethical responsibilities. We include sections from the COVID handbook, lessons learned over the past 2 years, adverse effects, detrimental effects of masks, and everything else that people are very familiar with. But we're going to send these to every single school in Victoria. And the idea is to show the schools that the government is not the only one that can put you into a corner. And we're going to wedge them and say that if you allow any of these things to happen in schools to our children, we are going to find you to be negligent and allow parents and provide legal support to parents to sue on that basis. But when you think about it, what we're doing in targeting every single school in Victoria, we're not actually targeting individual schools. We're not targeting principals, we're not targeting school boards, because we know that they've been placed in a horrible position, and we recognize that. We are going to give them an out and ask them to pass the pressure up the chain and demand from the education department the justification for what they're doing, and in turn get them to pass it up to the government. So we need support in the form of financial support for this initiative. So we've got a donate function on the page. We've got 3 weeks of school term left, and we want to get that out before the school term ends. So we've got the school packages, the printers lined up. We've got the documentation, the booklets are almost finished. We've got the legal letters drafted, and we just need to pay for everything. So please visit the site and help us to put pressure on these people. So I'll just finish up with next week or whenever Monica has this great meeting again. We'll talk about what we've got planned for this coming week. So we're going to look into countering the dehumanizing message that these governments are putting out, and because we find it absolutely disgusting. And if anybody familiar with history knows how dangerous it is to dehumanize a part of the population, and there's a large part of our community who see this dehumanization. They see camps being built out in Geelong. They see legislation being put in place that over the next 1 or 2 years, that the emergency power extension will allow Daniel Andrews to lock people up indefinitely without cause or charge. And that is very, very dangerous. And we want to counter that message. So stay tuned to our social media to see what we'll be putting out on that. And as well as that, we're putting together our health and well-being section of the website. And that's about bringing people together, communities. As Monica said, it doesn't matter what group you join, just find a group like one of the groups that are on this meeting and get involved. I hate the word empowered because it makes it makes me think that you have to get your power from somewhere else. You have the choice to control what's in your future. And we want to give people that opportunity. And our last initiative, promise Monica, this is the last one. We're working with other educational groups, Victoria Freedom Keepers, very closely with Grow Together Schools and a lot of other initiatives. We're involved with the Steiner School group, that's a branch of National Educators United, and we want to put all of these educational alternative facilities and services that are being created. We want to put them in one place and have a virtual open day that allows parents and teachers to look at what's being created. So that's
great.
That's about it. Thank you.
Good. All right. Well, look, next time you'll make sure that you're in a friend's house that has better reception, right?
You don't want to see my face.
Like. Or are you trying to hide your identity for some reason that we don't know about? Hey,
no. There's my identity there.
Look, your voice is better to have
reception.
Good voice. Yeah. Anyway, we got to see the website, so thank you so much, Pierce, and I'll make sure I publish what we talked about today. All right.
Beautiful. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is the last speaker for tonight. We successfully got through the broadcast without any big hiccups. So that's great. Now, I love what they're doing. It's obviously run very professionally with really clever people. You can tell by the website that it's really done by sort of intellects as opposed to activists, if that makes sense. I think what they're doing is really meaningful. And I think a lot of activist groups can use those resources and push it out to their audience so that they can, make use of those resources. And the school, they're obviously concentrating on school-age children, which I think is really important. What's going on right now is obviously very scary. If I had a child in school, I'd be pretty worried, especially after what we saw in Western Australia just last week. So if there are going to be really good options for robust homeschooling or some sort of alternative option for parents, I think it's probably something worth looking into at this time. But, you know, if the bill doesn't go through in Victoria anyway, we could have some actual freedom for a while, but we'll see. But I just wanted, so the show is finished now. And so I'll just end up by thanking everyone who came on to speak. Next time, I hope to have a bit of a different setup where we can have Q&A perhaps or things like that. But I do like to keep these types of things as short as possible because, you know, attention spans are quite short these days. But just before I let you go, I'll just show you the website again that we've put together. So basically, Together We Can is the name of the campaign, and we're going to have flyers and social media posts. We're also going to, print out some banners and things for the next events. But also on here, you can find everyone and anyone that is fighting for your rights. So there's so many different personalities and characters and ways of doing things that in this list, you're going to find someone that you resonate with, and you might even find someone that you know will resonate with so that they can start seeing alternative media, alternative ideas and resources. I know it's a little bit overwhelming because there's a lot on here, but it's also a good thing because there's a lot of organizations in Australia and people and groups that are fighting for our rights. Every day, the freedom movement goes up and this bigger and bigger. It's never gone backwards because every time the government does something ridiculous, the freedom movement grows. So pretty much this page here is the revolution of Australia on one page. So I hope you go check it out. It's a little bit still a work in progress. There's still a few things to put on here, but as you can see, it's already very, very robust with lots and lots of content. So go check it out when you've got time. But that's pretty much the end of our first ever live stream broadcast. I'm so excited that it worked. Next week, I'm going to have Rod Cullerton, Michael O'Neill, and some other minor parties on the show. So it's going to be similar to this, but it's going to be dedicated to minor parties being able to speak to the audience and let them know what they're up to. And you guys can get to know the minor parties. It's a lot of people say, oh, why doesn't all the parties just join into one? Well, that doesn't really work. And it's actually good that there's so many different minor parties because as long as you vote for one of the minor parties as number one and then put the others as 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and put Greens, Labor, Liberal and Nationals last, it doesn't matter. Any of these minor parties are going to be better than the major parties. So I want to bring them to you so you can get to know them and make a great choice. Like I said, RDA is not here to tell anyone who to vote for. We just want to give you the options and just don't. Well, when I say we're not going to tell you who to vote for, we are telling you who to not vote for. And that is the ones that have let us down, which is the Labor, Liberals, Nationals and Greens. And some of the independent parties in Victoria. Of course, you know who I'm talking about. Anyway, it's going to be an interesting week in Victoria. Please stay strong. Use the momentum from the weekend, all that excitement, all that power and courage and bravery that rubbed off on each other at those events. I obviously couldn't go, but I watched all the footage and my gosh, we just made history. And I'm just so excited because that we can ride that wave for a few more weeks at least. Every time you're feeling down, every time you're feeling like you've just had another blow, maybe the bill goes through in a watered down version. It's going to be really hard for Victorians, especially. Just remember Saturday. Just remember Saturday. You are not alone. In fact, you are part of the majority. Remember that when you're feeling down. And also, my last message before I press the end button is going to be that every single day that goes past, we are one day closer to getting our freedoms back. It's like a sales tag. I've been in sales and they would say every no is one no closer to a yes, right? So every day you wake up, it is one day closer to victory. So just remember that when you're feeling down. God bless you all. Thank you so much for watching my first show and braving it through with me. And thank you to all the guests who spoke out. And I will make a post about this tomorrow with the full recording and also with all the links to everyone who spoke. So thank you so much and have a great evening. Goodbye.